Good morning and good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Before Coffee. It is Wacky and Weird Wednesday. We're going to cover a bunch of weird and wacky things that have been going on, including today, yesterday, and maybe even the week before that we didn't cover before on Before Coffee, the father and daughter podcast, comprehensive news of planet Earth, where we look at the news 10 to 15 minutes before we start and without any caffeine in our bodies. Let's get to those headlines. Today on Before Coffee, Ryan and Ry want to get married in Taiwan. They can't because of China's same-sex marriage ban.
Call him Ishmael, or Ishmael with the minivan. Robert Kennedy Jr. has another weird story, this time involving a dead whale.
New 38-pound million center to study alternative proteins launched in the UK.
More weirdness. A child was reported missing. A TV news helicopter crews found him on a roof. And Philadelphia has its 15th annual naked bike ride.
Is fish and chips too expensive for Brits? And Beatles gig venue in Liverpool is transformed into a B&B by Pete Best.
And it's National Thoughtful Day. So be thoughtful. It is August 28th, 2024 on Before Coffee.
Alright, first news story coming out of Taiwan. Now, why is this wacky and weird? Because it's wacky to me that Taiwan is still considered China's and they can control what laws and what's banned there, and it's so annoying to me. Okay, so anyways, Ryan and Ry. This is from The Guardian by John Kamazind Bromby. That's a long name. I wasn't expecting that. Jan Kamazind Bromby. Alright. Cross-strait couples are required to marry in China, but with gay marriage still impossible on the mainland, many couples are left in limbo. Ryan and Ry like to compare their relation to a Shakespearean drama. The two met when Ry, originally from China, visited Ryan's Taiwanese city of Kaohsiung in 2016. I need to turn down my monitor because that's very loud. In 2016, a brief conversation next to the city's Love River soon developed into a romance that defied the long-running cross-strait tensions between their homes. The cross-strait tensions, I love that. Sounds like a band. I'm Allison and I'm the singer of Cross-strait Tensions. Although Ry returned to the Chinese capital of Beijing, and Ryan, who runs a guest house, stayed in Taiwan, the couple entered a long-distance relationship for years before deciding they wanted to get married. Like Romeo and Juliet, we hoped for a happy ending, Ryan says. Their love had many obstacles, but if it's meant to be, nothing can stop it. When Taiwan became the first place in Asia to legalize same-sex marriage in 2019, they thought their happy ending was in sight. But while the rest of Taiwan's LGBTQ+ community celebrated, their joy was dulled when they learned they would be among the more than 100 couples barred from marriage due to one person's Chinese nationality. I don't know if any country does that. Maybe. I have no idea. I can't think of it. I think there's people getting married in the Netherlands when I think it was one of the first 6 countries to legalize gay marriage. And they were doing it like 40 years ago it was happening. And I don't remember America saying, hey, you can't get married. You're from America. You have to be Dutch only if you want to get married in the Netherlands. Anyways, another more Chinese overstepping, in my opinion. We are feeling sad, but had to join in our celebrations with others, even though we couldn't celebrate for ourselves, Ry says. For national security reasons, and because of Taiwan's complicated relationship with China, I mean, it's not really complicated, it's just bullying, international bullying. Taiwan governs most cross-strait marriages under a distinct set of laws that require couples to marry in China before having the union certified in Taiwan. Couples are then subject to interviews to authenticate the marriage and a screening process that ensures the Chinese spouse does not pose a security or intelligence threat. That's so much. That's okay. That is like the normal thing you have to go through if you're an immigrant anywhere to get married. They want to make sure that if an immigrant is marrying a citizen, that you're not doing a green card marriage or something. You have to know the person you're marrying from the deepest detail. Otherwise, you're a security threat. You're just a spy. And every country does this, by the way. It's not just China. So, but the gay marriage is still impossible in China. Many couples can't fulfill the first step of the process, leaving them unable to get an interview and stuck in legal limbo. Advocacy groups claim that Taiwan remains the only place in the world to restrict gay marriage on the grounds of nationality. Taiwanese citizens like Ryan have the right to live and work in China, but many same-sex couples are unwilling to relocate to the Chinese mainland due to its lack of LGBTQ+ freedoms. Yeah, no kidding. We hope to gain societal recognition and to have our marriage acknowledged and protected. Mainland China does not recognize it, says Rai. Now, some cross-strait couples have begun taking Taiwanese authorities to court, with the support of the Taiwan Alliance to promote civil partnership rights. TAP-CPR, a local human rights organization. Ryan and Rai are on the forefront of these legal battles. The couple got married in the United States. Oh, they went to a totally different country to get married. Like, go to China to get married. We're going to the United States. Come get us now, China. Where gay marriage is legal, and I've been battling to have their union acknowledged. Okay, so Taiwan, I guess there's Chinese puppets in the Taiwanese government who are trying to uphold this decision by China that if you're not married in China, you're not married. So the people in Taiwan who are approving of this idea are not acknowledging that they are married at all because they didn't do the steps of going to China, getting scrutinized, proving that they know each other and that they're not security threats, right? It's like, why do I need to do that? I'm from Taiwan, not China. If they succeed, they are likely to become Taiwan's first ever cross-strait gay couple to get married. Our lawsuit is significant for the entire Taiwan mainland LGBTQ community. Everyone is eagerly anticipating the outcome, says Ryan. The case focuses on their ability to begin the marriage interview process and to directly register their U.S. marriage at a Taiwanese registration office. Keyword there, a Taiwanese one. The courts have ruled in favor of elements of their case on 2 occasions, but after more than 3 years of litigation, the couple remain unable to tie the knot. Following a ruling early in August stating that the Immigration Department should grant Ryan and Rai access to the interview process, Taiwan's Mainland Affairs Council noted that they are aware of the matter is likely to cause controversy in society, and we're conducting further consultations. I think it's already causing controversy in society right now without actually allowing them to get married. With China-Taiwan relations and LGBTQ+ issues still contentious for some time in Taiwan, TAP-CPR argues that the issues have become an administrative one, and with no government department willing to take responsibility for making a final decision. I guess they're in the crosshairs of Chinese snipers. Don't allow these couples to get married or we'll shoot you in the head. Cross-strait couples should obviously have a legal basis to marry in Taiwan, says Victoria Su, a lawyer for the TAP-CPR. I think this is a matter of political will. If the president were to green-light cross-strait marriage equality, then the issue would soon be resolved, Su claims. I agree. If you're gonna legalize gay marriage, right? I would argue that first step should have been the cross-strait marriage equality to begin with. You should have said, no, you don't need to go to China to get married. You can get married here in Taiwan, the country you live in. We hope our lawsuit will change the government's attitude and prompt it to take necessary action to achieve true marriage equality, Su says. The ruling Democratic Progressive Party told The Guardian that Taiwanese citizens' freedoms to marry shall be respected and protected by the law regardless of the nationality of the fiancé. We believe the government will propose a draft of a law balancing people's right to marry and national security. The general mood within our community is mostly pessimistic, with some people feeling too disheartened to even get angry. Anger doesn't seem to help. It's more of a deep sadness, a sense that there's no hope left, Ryan has said. He says the legal action is like a lifetime for the entire community. Without it, people would feel even more helpless. And this was with help from Edison Singh. So there you go. Wacky and weird China overstepping and saying you're not allowed to get married because one of your one of your partners is Chinese or whatever, and they have to come to China to get married.
Bureaucratic overreach.
Wacky and weird news from that.
Hold on, a bureaucrat hasn't signed off on it yet.
Yeah. We're not sure if you guys are legally allowed to get married, because I don't know you personally, so...
Don't even pretend you don't know each other for the end of time. Okay. Humans are stupid. There's proof. Speaking of weirdness, as this is Weird Wednesday, and we're not done quite yet with the RFK Jr. story, who, of course, famously had brainworms, and
yeah, let's review the the story here.
Captures roadkill and doesn't seem to know what he even stands for. It doesn't ever seem to remember statements.
He had a brain-eating worm in his.
Yeah, we did that. I did the brainworm first. Here's the newest. Here's the newest revelation. It's not a new story because it came out from his daughter years ago, but we're reporting on it now as the news media's picked it up. Another bizarre animal-related story has come to light. This is from independent.uk, independent.co.uk. Miriam Page is the author. Another bizarre animal-related story has come to light about RFK Jr., with his daughter revealing that he once beheaded a dead whale and tied its head to the roof of the family's minivan before setting off on a 4-hour drive. Who doesn't do that? Right?
This is like drunk grandpa being like, "Did I ever tell you the story about I climbed Mount Everest and I flew down from a parachute?"
This could definitely be a comedy series or an episode of The Simpsons. Kathleen Alexandra Kick Kennedy made this claim in a 2012 interview with Town & Country, where she traced her own taste for the extreme back to her dad's eccentric environmentalism. Well, that's environmentalism, isn't it? Cutting up a dead whale is environmentalism.
Mm-hmm.
That's eccentric, to say the least. The story resurfaced on Monday and prompted calls for the government to investigate RFK Jr. for potentially violating the Marine Mammal Protection Act and the Endangered Species Act. It comes just weeks after the 70-year-old, who was running for president as an independent until he endorsed defendant Trump. It's weeks after he hit headlines admitting that he dumped a bear cub in New York Central Park 10 years ago. In the resurfaced 2012 interview, Kick Kennedy recounted one day when she was 6 and the family learned a dead whale had washed up on the beach at Hyannisport, southeast of Boston. The actor-turned-philanthropist said that, during the news, her dad headed down to the beach armed with a chainsaw to cut off the whale's head. He then strapped the grim body part to the roof of the family's minivan using bungee cords and then drove the family to Mount Kisco, New York, a drive around 4 or 5 hours long. Every time we accelerated on the highway, the whale juice would pour into the windows of the car, and it was the rankest thing on the planet, Kick recalled in an interview. We all had plastic bags over our heads with mouth holes cut out, and people on the highway were giving us the finger, but that was just normal day-to-day stuff for us. Imagine that. People giving you the finger for driving down the road with a whale head on your car.
What is going on?
Those silly people. After the story resurfaced, environmentalists in the Center for Biological Diversity Action Fund called for the government officials to launch an investigation of whether RFK Jr. violated the Marine Mammal Protection and Endangered Species Act.
I think he did.
I got a feeling
he chopped the whale head off.
I got a feeling it's beyond the statute of limitations, as the story didn't come out until 12 years ago, right? We're just hearing about it now, even though it was 12 years ago. It was in a magazine article, right? So I don't know. It just seems punitive to go after somebody that did at least 15 years ago, probably longer. She said she was 6 when it happened. So how long ago was it?
We can neither confirm or deny if this actually happened, is what it sounds like.
The Center for Biological Diversity Action Fund is pissed. And in a letter to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, the environmental agency said that it is illegal to possess any part of an animal, dead or alive, that is protected under either statute. It continued possession of any whale skull represents a significant and ongoing violation of law. Earlier this month, RFK Jr. released a video admitting that he dumped the carcass of a bear cub in 2014. So, I don't know, he's probably got several whale carcasses on his notches on his belt. This is just the one we know about. In the video, featuring actor Roseanne Barr, the nephew of former President John F. Kennedy recalls how he saw a car hit and kill a cub in upstate New York, so he picked up the carcass, put it in his car with plans to skin, butcher, and keep the meat in his refrigerator. He went on to say that upon realizing he had to go to the airport, so couldn't deal with a dead bear, he and his intoxicated friends decided to leave it in the Manhattan Park. Discovery of the dead cub in the park the next day made headlines and remained a mystery for the next decade. Following RFK Jr.'s confession, authorities have said he will not face state charges over the matter. But he's a serial dead animal abuser, this guy.
Yeah, like...
The bizarre...
What the hell?
The bizarre revelation came after it emerged that RFK Jr. once said a parasitic worm ate part of his brain and then died inside of his head. Oh yeah. Hell of an admission to make. He testified that he initially feared that he had a brain tumor, but learned that after visiting doctors there was a dead parasite inside of his head. I have cognitive problems. Clearly, I have short-term memory loss and I have longer-term memory loss that affects me. Oh God, please, let's listen to this guy. Let's make him president, huh? This person should just go retire to wherever the hell they should go. 70 years old, RFK Jr., you're 70. Time to just go out to the little Kennedy compound and play with the little marbles you got left, you know? RFK Jr.'s eventful presidential campaign came to an end Friday when he suspended and endorsed defendant Trump. Okay, and that support just gave more backlash from his own family, with his sister Carrie Kennedy saying she is disgusted by her brother's obscene backing of the Republican candidate and claiming he had set fire to their father's, Robert F. Kennedy's, memory. So, Robert F. Kennedy Sr. had 11 kids. They aren't all fuck-ups. I mean... let's not forget that RFK Jr. got his younger brother, hooked on cocaine, and his younger brother eventually committed suicide. So RFK Jr. is a piece of shit all around.
Yeah, you have to have a bad apple, you know, to make the good ones look good.
I would say he had 11 kids. They can't all be fucking geniuses.
Yeah,
but again, this is the one he named. This is the one he named Bobby Jr. Here's the thing: stop naming your kids after yourself. It doesn't do them any favors, morons. Your ego will survive not having a kid named after you. You should be naming your kids after your own father, your own mother, not yourself.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's your little... So I think RFK Jr.'s legacy was I gotta be better than my dad somehow. And since I can't do that, I'll be crazier than anybody. So yeah, he's got mental problems.
No, people will know me for being a crazy man.
Yeah, he's got mental problems.
Yeah.
He's obviously got mental problems, and he's had them for a long, long time.
I don't think you can not have mental issues if your brain was eaten by a worm. I just, like, this is a real thing in neurology. If somebody you know suddenly changes in their personality and starts doing weird things they've never done before, it's most likely due to, I think they're like something in their frontal cortex having a tumor. Like, that's how sensitive your brain is, right? You'll start acting like a totally different person, being erratic, just because you have a small, tiny little tumor growing in your brain. So, getting your brain eaten,
there's no way that
hasn't affected his life. Sorry, what did you say?
You can just have a protein imbalance in your brain.
Yeah. Crazy.
The wrong enzymes are active. But really, again, what can you say? Maybe he had imposter syndrome. But I think he got the brainworm from handling all that raw meat. You will get... There's all kinds of pathogens in raw meat, especially wild killed raw meat.
All you have to do is... Those worms are microscopic. All you have to do is pick your ear while you're cleaning some dead animals, and there you go. It's in your... Or in your eyeball. It can go through your eye into your brain, you know? Yeah. They're tiny, tiny microscopic worms.
Okay, just rub your eye with your unclean hand. That's all it takes.
Exactly. Make sure you wash your hands, people.
And don't eat roadkill. Don't eat roadkill.
Speaking of eating
And you
things,
too.
let's talk about alternative proteins. My favorite topic when it comes to wacky and weird things, as we've got the UK investing 38 million pounds. I don't know why they have to invest so much, but 38 million pounds into a center for studying alternative proteins. This is on The Independent by Nilima Marshall. Scientists will explore whether lab-grown meat or proteins from sources such as insects, plants and fungi, or microbes could form part of the UK diet. The answer is yes. You don't have to donate. You don't have to have a 38 million pound study. Yes is the answer. People have already done studies. Of course, you can have enough studies here. Let's look at the virtual center that will study whether alternative protein sources will be useful. The National Alternative Protein Innovative Center, NAPIC. Okay. Headed up by the University of Leeds, will explore whether cultured meat or proteins derived from plants, fungi, algae, insects, and microbes can be as healthy as well as sustainable. As well as academics, more than 120 organizations are involved, including small and large businesses, farmers, regulators, councils. According to Professor Anwesha Sakar, project leader for NAPIC and director of research and innovations at Leeds School of Food Science and Nutrition. Yeah, farmers definitely want to get into this, because instead of farming beef, you can start farming crickets. And you can sell way more crickets and have less space too. It's just more cost effective, more land efficient. He said, "Our ambition is to create the massive innovative ecosystems with 350 plus partners, so this can drive the UK to become a global superpower in alternative proteins. It is estimated animal agriculture produces up to a fifth of greenhouse gas emissions. Meanwhile, figures suggest more than 90% of people in the UK are not getting enough fiber, a carbohydrate found naturally in plants." People need to eat more fruits and veggies. This has always been a problem. And researchers say their aim is to create an innovative center that can secure continuous supplies of safe, tasty, affordable, healthy proteins, which also support net zero goals and future-proof the UK's food and animal feed security. Professor Guy Poppy, Deputy Executive Chairman of the Biological Sciences Research Council, BBSRC, and Food Sector Champion for UK Research and Innovation, UKRI, said that the food we currently eat and the way we produce it is doing terrible damage to our planet and health. He said that NAPIC's investment will help position the UK as a leader in the global alternative proteins market, ready to meet both current and future challenges. Dr. Rob Hancock, Deputy Director of Advanced Plant Growth Centre at the James Hutton Institute in Scotland, said that UK currently imports more than 15 billion pounds worth of protein products, including meat, dairy, eggs, and seafood, as well as 3 billion worth of animal feed. That's imports. Seafood, they're right there by the ocean, and they have to import seafood? What about, like, is getting beef from Ireland considered imports? Because I wouldn't consider that imports myself, but I guess since Ireland is part of the EU, it is technically an import. So
Yeah, they
have no excuse. What the hell are they doing? We need to shift to a system where we're able to produce more of these protein products within the United Kingdom in ways that more environmentally friendly. Dr. Hancock said around 75% of human food comes from only 12 plant species. There are about 14,000 plant species which are edible and available to be exploited. I would use the word exploited, but he said those words. Professor Louis Dye, co-director of the Institute of Sustainable Food at the University of Sheffield. I didn't know there's so many institutes about food. Wow, that's and all over the UK they have institutes for food. Said at present only 9% of the protein purchased in supermarkets comes from alternative proteins such as soy and peas, highlighting the importance of taking the consumer with us on this journey. She said, "Food habitats acquired mainly in childhood and they track into our adult life. That determines a lot of the foods that we like, dislike, or have cravings for. We're changing these entrenched preferences that is difficult, so we need to help consumers transition to healthier diets with sustainable alternative protein sources that will require us understanding their current consumption patterns. We can use nudging and other techniques to shift consumer choices, and those have been shown to be effective, but we need to think about replacing traditional, well-liked meals with alternative proteins as the main protein source. NAPIC, which received £15 million in funding from the UKRI, is a collaboration between researchers at the University of Leeds, James Hunt Institute, Imperial College London, and the University of Sheffield. The centre, which will run for 5 years, is also expected to receive £23 million from stakeholders, including small and large businesses and other academic partners. And that's why they will be receiving £38 million to study alternative proteins and how to force the people of the UK to make them, eat them, and a third thing I can't think of right now. I just felt nice to have a third thing, but I can't think. Like them,
the solution.
Eat them, grow them, and actually like eating them. You start giving them to your children early, and then they'll learn to like them later. Like how I love broccoli. Though I think I've always liked broccoli, even as a kid. Broccoli is great. Yeah, that's crazy. There's 14,000 plants we can eat and won't die from, but we only eat like 6 of them. That's crazy.
Well, that's funny.
Like 14,000 out there, and we're just like, I've never heard of that plant. Yeah, like yesterday I was playing a game, yucca. Right? No, anyone know what yucca is? I know what it is, but there's people in Europe who've never heard of it. They've never heard of such a thing because it's a South American plant, I believe. But yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's my story.
Well, the solution to protein actually probably is eating insects.
Yep, exactly. Crickets, ants. They
do
that all over Southeast Asia. They're eating insects.
Yeah.
Not a big deal.
We eat crawfish. Very much different from a crawfish and an insect, right? It's just a big
lobsters.
bug.
Lobsters are actual bugs. They're just bugs, water bugs.
Yeah, lobsters are
bugs.
giant crawfish.
Yeah.
Right. Or langoustine. All right, more weird news. A child was reported missing, and the TV news crew found him on a roof. This is from apnews.com.
What are you doing up there?
Ever play hooky? Well, it's always like the funnest thing in the world because nobody knows where you are. The teachers think you're at home, and your parents think you're at work or at school. So it's like, yeah, I'm in the roof. Anyway, the TV news helicopter crew spotted a boy who had been reported missing, but who was actually up on the roof of his New York City playing hooky, the TV station reported. The 9-year-old boy left his Brooklyn apartment around 7 a.m. Thursday, but did not show up at school, CBS News reported. The boy's parents called police, who put out a description of the missing child, including an orange tie he was wearing. The CBS station sent a helicopter to the scene, and reporter Dan Rice spotted the boy on the rooftop of his family's building. As my pilot Eric Ross and I were circling around the building, we came across a person sitting on a chair over here on the rooftop. We zoomed in with the camera. It appeared to be a child that fit the description of the missing child, Rice said. Station employees called the police, and the helicopter crew hovered overhead until they arrived. He just packs up his computer and his book bag and goes off with the police officers, Rice said. They looked back at our helicopters, gave us a big thumbs up, and took the child down to his parents. A neighbor said he had been on the roof drinking coffee and had seen the child playing with his iPad, but hadn't thought anything about it. The first day of school for most New York City school students is September 5th, but school started August 12th for Success Academy charter school chain whose uniforms feature orange ties. So this is probably just a case of, you're sending kids back to school in the middle of the summer. What's wrong with you? That's what that is. Wait till it cools off, and they'll be glad to be inside.
Wait after
right now
Labor
it's summer,
Day, man.
Yeah, right now it's summer. He wants to play on the roof with his iPad. Leave the little guy alone. All right, another weird news. Hundreds cruise Philadelphia streets in the 15th annual Philly Naked Bike Ride.
Oh yeah.
This is also from AP News. Philadelphia, AP. Hundreds of people in various states of undress cruised the streets of Philadelphia to cheer for onlookers Saturday evening at the 15th annual Philly Naked Bike Ride. The annual ride, which started in 2009, is billed as promoting cycling as a key form of transportation and fuel-conscious consumption. And if you want blisters on your bum, ride naked, I guess. I don't know. It is also meant to encourage body positivity. Organizers stress, however, that participants are not required to ride completely and above, telling them to get as bare as you dare. Organizers said the ride wasn't limited only to bicycles and welcomed all forms of human-powered transportation, such as rollerblades, skates, skateboards, and scooters. They also point out the code of conduct that bars any kind of physical or sexual harassment. The course changes each year, but generally highlights city landmarks. This year, the riders assembled in the city's large Fairmont Park, some getting themselves adorned with body paint before starting a 12-mile or 19-kilometer route down Benjamin Franklin Parkway, past historic City Hall to Tony Rittenhouse Square, and then on into South Philadelphia before heading back north around the U.S. Mint and heading in a West Philadelphia park near Drexel University. The ride used to be held in September, often in temperatures around 70 degrees Fahrenheit, but enough of the naked riders mentioned feeling chilly that it was moved to August several years ago.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
The 2020 ride was called off because of the pandemic. And no, RFK Jr. was not there.
I can see it already. People like, no, I'm just cold. I'm just cold, guys.
That's your story. I did send you a video. I hope you have it. And
yes, I've already done all of that, like last story.
Back to the culture segment.
So I'm kind of jealous that they had a naked bike riding thing. Why does the Netherlands do that? The Netherlands has nothing against nudity. I'm gonna start the first naked bike ride. Maybe it does exist, and I just haven't heard about it because nobody talks about it. Like, it's not big news here, you know.
Maybe it's a naked canal ride. Naked canal rides. Yeah.
All right. In completely no segue whatsoever, let's talk about fish and chips. Now this is wacky and weird because wait, are the stereotypical dish of Brits too expensive for Brits to actually buy?
Really?
That's right. This is from Euronews by Johnny Walfitz. The humble fish and chips has risen in price more than any other UK takeaway in the past 5 years. Britain's most popular dish is more expensive than ever, thanks to cost of living inflation. The humble fish and chips takeaway has been a staple of British households since its introduction in the 19th century. That's 1800s, people. The 1800s. But wait. No.
Wait.
If it's 21st century 20. Yeah, I'm correct. 1800s. But with fish, potato, and oil prices spiking in recent years, it's no longer a reliable, cheap eat. Oh, doesn't that suck? Oh man, I'm just gonna go down to the shop to get a $1 pizza. Sorry, pizza's $5 now. I guess we're not getting pizza for dinner anymore. We have to go to something even cheaper. New data from Britain's official National Statistics, ONS, shows that fish and chips has had the steepest rise in prices of the UK's most popular takeaways in the past 5 years. The average price for a portion of the dish has increased by over 50%. So it hasn't doubled in price, but it's half doubled, I guess. Across the country, the average price of fish and chips has risen to £9, which is 11 euros, which is, you know, something in between that and in USD. The point is, that's a lot. 10 bucks for fish and chips. When I was in Wales in 2012, I swear it was like 7 or something. It was not almost 10 bucks. From £6 to 7 in July, and then that's an increase of 52%. So it went from 6 in 2019 to now 9. Almost 10, 9.8. So 6.4 to 9.8 pounds. Compared to other takeaway options, it's the highest rise over the past half decade, ahead of kebabs, which is 44%, chicken and chips, 42%, pizza went up 30%, Indian 29%, and Chinese also at 29%. According to a recent YouGov poll, fish and chips is the second most popular dish in the UK, behind just chips on their own. Introduced fish and curry, chips and curry is also really popular. Introduction by the UK to the UK by the Spanish and Portuguese Jews who had immigrated from the Netherlands. Okay, so it's a Dutch staple thing from Spain. Oh god, that's such a messed up. So Spain invaded the Netherlands back in like the 1700s. They tried to conquer the entire Netherlands. They didn't succeed. They actually got stopped, and then they got destroyed by the UK in a different thing, so they had to withdraw completely from the Netherlands. But I guess there were Jews from Spain and Portugal who moved to the Netherlands, and I guess they fell in love with fish, or they brought fish from Portugal, because Portugal and Spain also have fish. Maybe the chips thing is probably Belgian, because Belgium, which was not Belgium at the time, it was just the Netherlands. Belgium didn't exist yet, I think. Invented chips, like actually chipping potatoes in that certain way, like the wedges is what we call them in America. That kind of style is Belgian. So they combined those two things together. Then they went to the UK and said, yo, have you ever tried putting some vinegar on some potatoes and eating fish with it? And then the UK was like, yo, this is great. Let's add this as our official dish of the century, I guess. The meal became increasingly popular in the 20th century and was one of the few foods not subject to rationing during the Second World War. I mean, yeah, it's potatoes and fish. Just, oh, caught a fish. Oh, I got a potato. It's not, yeah, there you go. Pretty simple. Yeah. Maybe the vinegar is the only thing that was rationed there. No vinegar, sorry.
Will grow. Potatoes will grow in northern climates. So
yeah.
It's a very popular staple vegetable. I think it was just normal to have potatoes anywhere. Right?
Yeah.
I don't think you really had to import them that much. Maybe
for sure.
10,000 years ago or whatever.
10,000, yeah. But in the UK...
Whenever the potato, 8,000 years ago.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know when I want to say the
ended.
Potatoes were introduced to the UK in like 1500s, 1400s-ish area, when, you know, they started conquering everywhere and stealing their food items and saying, this is ours now. We somehow own the potato, even though potatoes are from America, but somehow the UK owns potatoes.
I'm pretty sure they're from Africa or someplace. I don't think they're American.
Potatoes are American.
I'll look it up.
Hands down. Isn't that? Yeah, you can look it up, but I'm very famously, potatoes and tomatoes are American. They're from America. But the UK icon has been subject to steep rises in cost before it can reach the British plates. Fish has risen in price, in part due to a 35% import, which we just covered in the previous story. They import a lot of seafood, hence they have a 35% import tariff on Russian seafood after 2022. So they're importing a bunch of seafood instead of getting it themselves, which is causing the prices to go up. Potato prices have also risen due to a small crop yield across Europe and increasingly highly paid UK farm. Okay, we're paying the farmers too much money, so that's why our potatoes are expensive. That sounds like a catch-all reason. Yeah, we're paying people a living wage. That's why this is expensive. Typical. Another factor is the rise of fish and chips prices in energy. Both the oil for frying, oh, that's a good point, didn't think about that, and the power required to run those fryers have increased significantly over the past 5 years. In 2022, the price cap for energy increased by 54% by Ofgem, the national energy regulator. Yeah, as everyone knows, when the war in Ukraine started, everyone in Europe had an energy crisis because we were actually relying on a lot of energy from not only Ukraine but also from Russia. Although fish and chips is still massively popular British dish and international icon of the court's food culture, it is not necessarily always the most popular dish that Brits enjoy. Back in 2011, a survey found that most popular British dish was actually the chicken tikka masala. The curry was invented in Glasgow by Ali Ahmed Aslam by combining Indian spiced chicken with Campbell's condensed tomato soup. Aslam died in 2022 at the age of 77 in Glasgow, Scotland. A recent survey found that Italian food is the most popular foreign cuisine to the British, followed by all of this stuff is foreign cuisine. The fish and chips is foreign. The tikka masala is foreign. Like, none of it is, like, actually from the UK Isles. Campbell's soup is tomatoes. Anyways,
they just have
funny.
Bland food. They gotta let them go, man. They got their
while
specialties.
87% said they liked Italian food, 91% they still said they still enjoyed British food, including dishes like fish and chips, which is we just found out from Portugal and Spain, and also the Netherlands. It was invented there, and they brought it over. This year we reported on the world's oldest man, British 11-year-old John Alfred Hinenswood, who said that his secret to longevity was luck, moderation, and regular portions of fish and chips. So I guess if you want to live long, you start catching out on that 9-pound fish and chips, so you can live to 11 and 11. Okay, so I got a little excited on that story. Let's talk about the Beatles, because as we're going to see in our mic drop.
What was it?
Huh?
Okay.
As you can see in our mic drop, it's an anniversary of something the Beatles did again, and we're going to talk about how this is wacky news. The venue that the Beatles played at probably their first gig has been turned into a bed and breakfast. The brick and cream painted house at 8 Hayman's Green in West Derby area of Liverpool was one of the first gig venues for the Beatles. Beatles fans in search for a nostalgic experience can now book to stay at what was originally a club where the band performed some of their first gigs. Cross-strait Coffee Club in Liverpool has been transformed into a bed and breakfast by the group's original drummer, Pete Best. We talked about him before when we, where did we go?
Yeah,
we went to Germany.
Replaced Ringo.
Later replaced by Ringo Starr.
Ringo replaced him, sorry.
The venue is located inside of a Grade 2 listed Victorian mansion that was owned by Best's mother, Mona. He came up with the idea to found a members-only club in the basement of the family's home for Best and his young brother, Rog, along with their friends to hang out and listen to music. The brick and cream painted house at 8 Hayman's Green in West Derby area of Liverpool was one of the first gig venues for the band. The group transformed the basement into an intimate venue where they gave concerts. The base saw 13 performances by John Lennon's first band, the Quarrymen, and more than 40 by the Beatles. Now, the room upstairs have been turned into suites named after John Lennon, Paul McCartney, George Harrison, Pete Best, and the original bass player Stuart Sutcliffe, but not Ringo Starr. I wonder why. Maybe it's because Pete Best is the one who
created the never played there. Ringo Starr never played there. It was
to be fair, he never played there. You're right. Rog Best emphasized this was not a reflection of bad feelings, between Pete and Ringo, but simply the latter never performed in the space. For Pete, the accommodation is a lasting tribute to the Fab Four. The Beatles played here, the Beatles partied here, and the Beatles slept here. The 82-year-old told the he's 82? God damn. Yeah. The 82-year-old told the BBC, calling the 5-apartment Airbnb a projection of his mother's dream. The suites are decorated with the band's memorabilia. The McCartney suite has portraits of the singer on the walls. The Best suite has cushions with images of drum kits, while the Lennon suite has a replica of his guitar. The basement has been preserved as it was when the band played there, with drum kits still on display and the famous phrase, "John, I'm back," etched into the ceiling. The accommodation has already welcomed guests, suggesting that Beatlemania is still alive and well, and a great sell. So that was your story about some Beatlemania by Rebecca Ann Hughes on Euronews Culture. And on to this day in history, where we'll hear more about that. Beatlemania.
Well, maybe. Yeah, that's what I was saying when we were in Hamburg. They had statues of the Beatles who played in Hamburg, but they played in Hamburg is where they met Ringo Starr.
Yes.
But for some reason, the statues don't have a statue of Pete Best there or Stuart Sutcliffe, who were both in the band
at the time. Yeah.
And they got a statue of Ringo, who wasn't even in the Beatles when they played in Hamburg. He joined them when they met him, and then they got back to London and said, "Hey, we want a new drummer." So that's a long explanation. Why did they leave? Of course, Stuart Sutcliffe stayed in Hamburg. He liked it so much, so he never left. He died there. He had a stroke and died a couple years later.
Really? Wow. Okay. Rest in peace.
Yeah, and a girl. He met a girl. He met a German girl named Astrid, who was a photographer, and became German. And this day in history, 476, the fall of the Western Roman Empire was completed as Emperor Romulus Augustulus was deposed by German warrior Odoacer. That guy. In 1793, on this date, the Siege of Tolin in the French Revolutionary Wars began. And 1850, Richard Wagner's opera Lohengrin was performed for the first time at Weimar, Germany. In 1914, the first major engagement of the British and German navies during the World War I occurred at the Battle of Helgoland Bight. I had a Helgoland Bight one time. It raised a welt right here. Anyway, that's a bad joke. It's Bight, B-I-G-H-T, not B-I-T. 1938, Liberal politician Paul Martin was born. He was the Prime Minister of Canada, and he fostered economic growth and introduced progressive social policies, but lost power amid a financial scandal in his party. 1946, The Killers, starring Ava Gardner and Burt Lancaster in his breakthrough role, had its world premiere in New York City, and it became a film noir classic, The Killers. 1952, on this day, writer and teacher Rita Dove, Poet Laureate of the United States, was born in Akron, Ohio. She was Poet Laureate from 1993 to 95 and winner of the 1987 Pulitzer Prize for Thomas and Beulah, which she wrote in 1986. 1968, the protests at the 1968 Democratic National Convention, fueled in part by the opposition to the Vietnam War, culminated in the so-called Battle of Michigan Avenue, a violent confrontation between demonstrators and police. Also on this day, 60 years ago, in 1964, Bob Dylan, after playing a show at Forest Hills Tennis Stadium, New York, and the Beatles met for the first time at the Delmonico Hotel in New York. Dylan and a mutual journalist friend, Al Aronowitz, introduced the Fab Four to marijuana. So, the Beatles got high for the first time today. Happy anniversary. And instantly, the Beatles' music changed, you'll notice. They went from I Love You, Yeah, 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 to I Am the Walrus, like that. Well, acid had something to do with it too, I'm sure. Acid and weed changed their music. And Bob Dylan, of course, who said, hey, your lyrics aren't that great. 1993, the spacecraft Galileo took pictures of the asteroid Ida. That's in 1993. In 1996, the 15-year marriage of Charles, Prince of Wales, and Diana, Princess of Wales, ended in a final divorce decree was issued. So they weren't all that happy. They never were. The fairy tale that we believed in 1981 was just a hoax. 2014, American spy John Walker, a U.S. Navy communications specialist who passed classified documents to Soviet agents for nearly 2 decades before being caught, died in prison at the age of 77. But you see what happens to espionage people? They die in prison. Something to keep in mind when you're trading secrets. 2020, American actor Chadwick Boseman died from colon cancer at the age of 43. He had iconic roles in Black Panther and barely got to enjoy his fame. Died at the age of 43. Not that people really enjoy their fame. I'm not sure they do or not. Our featured event, August 28th, 1963, Civil Rights March on Washington. On this day in 1963, some 200,000 people marched on Washington, D.C., an event that became the high point of the civil rights movement, especially remembered for the famous I Have a Dream speech of Martin Luther King Jr. And featured biography, Emmett Till was born on this day. Murder victim, Emmett Till, who was born on July 25th, 1941. He would only be 83 today. Emmett Till would be 83, not today, on July 25th. He died on August 28th, 1955. At the age of 14, was beaten up by a mob of racist assholes.
Yep.
1962, birthday of David Fincher. 1965 is the birthday of Shania Twain. 1969 is the birthday of Sheryl Sandberg, American business executive. 1969, also the birthday of Jack Black, American actor. And 1982 is the birthday of Leanne Rimes, American country singer. Your name is Rimes, you better be able to rhyme. That's all I got to say. National Day it is today. It's a bunch of things today. It's Rainbow Bridge Remembrance Day, so that's the day you remember your beloved deceased pets.
Yes.
I'm guessing.
They took the Rainbow Bridge.
It's National Cherry Turnover Day, so turn over a cherry. Go there, grab a cherry, and turn it over. No, a cherry turnover is a dessert. It's like a pie in a crust.
It's a pie, and then you flip it over. I mean, it's...
Yeah.
So
Turn that sucker over.
Yeah.
It's National Bow Tie Day. I don't have a bow... Oh, I think I do have a bow tie, but somewhere.
I've never
National
owned a bow tie myself.
I think you wore one in band. When you were in band, you had a bow tie. National Power Rangers Day. Remember the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers? That weird show that I never understood.
It was an American adaptation of a Japanese show, so that's why it was so weird. It was originally Japanese.
Definitely weird. This is when I
Kamen
decided
Rider.
I'm too old for this shit.
Yeah.
I'm too old for this shit. Kids shows are getting weird. It's National Sampling Day, so I guess you watch a sport you don't normally watch, which is what the Olympics is all about. I watch a bunch of sports.
Paralympics, reminder, Paralympics is happening right now.
Oh yeah,
so
the Paralympics.
if you want to watch some more
sample
sports?
all those sports.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Very, very emotionally, what is it? I don't know, inspirational, the Paralympics.
Yeah.
People that just don't give up on life. Anyway. National Thoughtful Day, so you should be thoughtful every day. I'm not that thoughtful, but well, I'm selfish. And it's National Red Wine Day. National Red Wine Day today. So those are your days for today. Enjoy the Olympics with some red wine, I guess. The Paralympics, I should say. Did you know that breaking was a sport? I did not know. It's an Olympic sport. Break dancing.
Everything is a sport if you have the ability to host the Olympics. That's what you can do.
That's right.
I can host the Olympics and saying having a podcast is a sport, and then best podcaster
That's true.
wins.
Yeah, you're not going to get anybody to care, but you know that's what you can do. Anyway, it's National Thoughtful Day. Anyway, pretty soon pickleball is going to be a sport.
Yeah,
and,
probably.
Of course, hacky sack. Hacky sack will be a sport. It'll just be, we don't even know. But anyway, there's your stories for today. August 28th, 2024, on Before Cherry Turnover.
Oh yeah. Alright, it's been Allison here from the Netherlands. We will see you tomorrow for Thursday's 13, where Raj will count down 13 things from a list of his own picking. So, no idea what it's going to be. It's a surprise for you and me. And we will see you for that. So make sure you subscribe. Turn on the notifications when we go live. And like this video if you enjoyed our wacky and weird news stories.
Like it. It only takes
what else?
a second to click.
That's the end. I hope you take care out there. It's warm. I know it's warm in the US, so if you're living in the US, stay cool, wear sunscreen, and let's look at our mic drop moment. I did start this
August 30th,
after
1964, folk singer Bob
section.
Dylan met the Beatles for the first time at their suite in the Hotel del Monaco in New York City. It was here that Dylan introduced the English pop stars to marijuana cigarettes, an encounter which undeniably changed the course of popular music in the 20th century.
Who says
Here
that?
is the true story.
British people.
Yeah.
I tell you, we love your records, man.
Thanks very much, man. I dig what you guys are doing too, you know?
It's very exciting. Have a look. I'm a walrus. Go 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 joob.
Oh, man. You guys are crazy, man.
No, you're crazy, man.
Where's George?
That's messing about over there.
Hey, let's settle up, man.
Well, what do you mean?
I mean, you smoked my weed, now we gotta settle up, man. You gotta pay me for it.
We assumed you just wanted to meet us and have a laugh.
Listen, man, you gotta pay me some money right now, or else we gonna have a problem.
Why is Bob
All
feeling so
hold
aggressive?
on. Here, take it.
I got you, man. I was just fucking with you guys, man.
He still took the money, though.
So, do you need money from us? I can't quite understand.
Oh, no. I got plenty of money, man.
Oh,
You're quite mad, Bob.
it's quite clever.
You're quite mad. Mad and
That's what
clever.
I do.
Very good.
All right, George.
Did he
what's going on
take
over there?
LSD-laced
Cool, man.
marijuana?
You gotta
What's
say
going
too much.
on?
All right, I'm out.
It's actually very
Apparently.
clever, really.
That's quite clever.
He put some
like poetry.
I
shrooms
need
in
some
his...
water.
That's so funny.
Be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and notify buttons, and follow our other channels, Toxic Alley, History of Gravy, and Scratchy Old Records.